Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter and welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 340 for January the 6th, 2026, or as it's often known, it is Epiphany. Yeah, for those that celebrate it, this would be the day that my mother would start taking down the Christmas tree. She always left it up until Epiphany. Mine's down, so I don't have to worry about any of that anymore. Anyways, let's talk about what is worrying me these days when it comes to my sewing. So here you see the mini zip case, and this is by Adam Sews, and this is part of my the year of the year of the bag 2026. Let's get that out right. And you know, I showed you last week my amethyst bag, which was a complete disaster. This one was not a complete disaster, but I have already alluded to the fact that I did have some problems. Now I want to say right off at the start, my problems are not with Adam's pattern. Adam's patterns are very clearly written, and he also has a video for most of them as well, which does help because for me, I need to see. I'm a visual learner. So yeah, which is kind of ironic given the fact that my whole life I dealt with words as an English teacher. But yeah, I'm a visual learner. So I find his videos very, very helpful as well. So it looks good. But I'm going to point out a few things to you. First of all, I'm not very happy with the tab on the end of the zipper at the top. I think my problem is with that. I don't know if I pulled it through the wrong way or whatever. It just looks awkward. Maybe it's too long. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a minor thing, but it bothers me. Now let's take a look at the inside of this case. Okay, looks pretty good. But I had a problem. Now you can see that tab at the top. Excuse me. To me, I think that the teeth should go the other way. But I think I put the zipper in right. But I'm not completely sold. Now I had some problems with this long zipper as well. So if you fold around down here to the bottom and you see these little curly parts, I did not do that right. I watched Adam's video on this, and it wasn't because of the angle of the shot. It wasn't very clear to me what he was doing. I know he was sort of rolling it under itself to capture the raw edge of the zipper, but I'm not sure how he sewed it down, because when I tried to sew it down, I broke 3 needles going through this, because of all the layers and everything. Now, so I'm not sure how that works. I'd have to study his video a little bit further to see what it was exactly he was doing if I was to do another one of these. The other thing too, what happened here is when I went around the corners with the bias binding, I caught and didn't realize it, and you got to be careful about this, and Adam did warn me about this in his instructions. I caught the zipper, and so I had to I had to unsew it at those points and then get it back in. But in the meantime, I was really fighting with the binding. I don't think I sewed where I should have sewn in some around those corners, and I didn't really have enough binding to comfortably get them pulled over. I did it, but it was by sheer force, and I don't think it should have been that way. Again, that's not a problem with Adam's pattern. That's a problem with me as a sewer of this. I can't say I enjoyed working with vinyl. Adam did make some suggestions about how to work with vinyl because, you know, I mean, you can get a Teflon foot. I don't have one. And he recommends that you don't put the vinyl right up against your table of your sewing machine because it will stick. And I followed his suggestions, but I still I didn't really like working with it. I'm not really happy with the way I put the binding on the edges of the vinyl. You can't see it here in the picture, but a piece of it is poking out. Actually, if you look at this one on the right hand side, under here you can see a little bit of that greeny color from the zipper. Yeah, it's hanging out from under that, and it's not supposed to do that. Again, not not a fault with the pattern. It's just a fault with me and my skills. So yes, it is functional. It will work. It's fine, but I don't like fine. I want perfection because that's just the way I am. Um, will I make another one of these? I don't think I will. And again, this has nothing to do with Adam's pattern. It's a great pattern. I didn't enjoy the process. And I did say before, if you're not really enjoying something, I think we said this on So Chatty at one point, if if it's not bringing you joy, why are you doing it? This didn't bring me joy. It really didn't. And I was making it for the sake of making it and trying something new. Okay, so I've done that now. I learned a few things from my mistakes, which is always good as well, but I don't really need one of these cases. So for me, this case is just going to go in, which will probably eventually become my pile of trial and errors in bag making. Now, am I going to make another bag anytime soon? Well, yes and no. I still have some patterns I would like to try. But between this one and the amethyst bag, quite frankly, I'm turned off. My great idea of making this the year of the bag is kind of let me down. I've let myself down. So I'm going to go back and do a few things that I know I can do. So you can see right over my shoulder, the shoulder here, you see a block. Actually, it's three little blocks or 3 units together to make a block. I am working on another Quilt of Valor. It is my own design. Now, this could be a disaster. I have gone into EQ8, and I think I showed that on Stephen and Walter Live. And I've designed something. It isn't perfect because quilt math is hard. So I decided that I'll work on various aspects of this quilt, lay them out on my design board, and figure out what I need to adjust to make everything fit together. Quite honestly, I do struggle with quilt math. And I used to think I was good at math. I don't think I am. Quilt math has shown me that I was living in a dream world thinking that I was good at math because, no, I'm not so good. But anyways, that's my challenge right now. And it is part of my 2026 plan, so to say, or goals or things, because I want to make at least one, if not 2, quilts for Quilts of Valor to donate to them. And what else am I working on? Well, I'm also working on getting things on Lucy and quilting them. I'm very proud of myself. Yesterday I quilted the cat quilt, the one that I had hanging on the design wall for the last couple of weeks. That's that panel. Well, it's now quilted and it's sitting over in my pile to bind. And I also quilted a table runner that I made from a kit that I got at when we did the shop hop thing back in September, late September. Yeah. It's been hanging out in the Lucy room for quite a while. And so it is also quilted. So I have 3 more quilts out in the Lucy room to quilt. I'm hoping to get one more done today. And this is what I'm putting my focus on right now because they're hanging over my head like a dark cloud. You know what it's like. You look over at your pile of UFOs and you go, I should do those someday. And these are not ones that I would want to get rid of or throw out. So yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then we'll come back to these other challenges that I have in mind. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. Now, announcement. Sewing with Stephen. This Wednesday, we're back to our regular schedule. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time start time, and we run till 4 p.m. Come and go as you please. Work on whatever you want to work on. Enjoy the fellowship with like-minded people. We have a good time. New people, definitely welcome. We do not bite. We bring you into our fold with open arms. And that sounded like we're a cult. And we're not. I don't think. No, we're not. We don't drink the Kool-Aid. We drink coffee and tea. Okay, anyways, I digress. So that's back up and running starting tomorrow at the time of recording this, which is Wednesday, January the 7th, and every Wednesday thereafter. Okay, that, and I had a pop-up sew day on January the 1st, which was New Year's Day. It was well attended. We had over 30 participants on it, which I was surprised at because I didn't know whether having something like that on New Year's Day would go over or not. Although I did kind of figure people might be desperate for something to do since, New Year's Day, at least in my area, nothing is open, really. So, yeah, but it was a great day. I got caught up on a few things. Well, that's when I made Adam's mini zip case. And, yeah, it was fun. When will the next pop-up sew day be? Not sure. Probably at the end of this month. But I will let you know as soon as I have it figured out. Okay. So, what else? Okay, so Chatty, last week we looked at coping with expectations versus reality. I thought it was a good topic. This was not our topic. This was suggested to us by one of my subscribers, Nancy Ryan. And I did some research and I found some interesting things. At least I thought it was interesting. And we talked about this in terms of how you cope with, what you think you're going to do and what the reality is. And like me, thought I was going to make bags. I haven't really got rid of that, but I've readjusted my idea to make it a little bit more realistic. And so we talked about that in terms of quilting and sewing. And it was a good topic, I think, to talk about this time of the year because this is the time of the year, New Year's, resolutions, all that kind of thing, plans for the new year. So if you didn't see that, that's up. That was this past Friday. Okay, so what are we talking about this coming week? Well, a little sneak hint at that. This is another topic that was suggested to me by one of our subscribers. And at first I poo-pawed it. And I thought, nah, this isn't going anywhere. But I thought, well, what the heck? Let's do a little research. Well, I'm excited about this topic because we're going to be looking at the relationship between reading, literature, and quilting. So that's what this week's topic in So Chatty is going to be. So be sure to tune in when it goes live on, not live, but when it goes up on Friday. It's not a live. I think some people think because both Walter and I are in those videos for So Chatty that we're live at the time. We're not. Those ones are pre-recorded. Only Stephen and Walter live are live. So anyways, I think you'll find this topic very, very interesting. And just for those of you that might be new to my channel, yesterday on my vlog, I explained what each one of the 4 videos that I produce every week are about, because they're each different. There is some overlap, a little bit. I try to avoid as much overlap as I possibly can. But So Chatty, in its development over time, has become something where we delve into topics on a more philosophical kind of basis. And lately we've been able to base our topics on your suggestions. So keep those suggestions coming in. And as I said, don't underestimate the power of your suggestion because it may give me ideas that springboard from that. Just like I said with this one we're doing this Friday. At first I thought, no, that's not going to work. Oh, well, surprise, surprise. I think it will work. Okay, so let's see what's else. Oh, got a gift in this past last week. Very nice gift, very timely gift. And this came from a very good subscriber, and I like to call Inez a friend. Yes, from Inez. Inez lives on the Rock. For those of you that don't know what I mean by the Rock is the nickname that is given to one of our provinces way out in the Atlantic Ocean, Newfoundland. And that's where she comes from. And Newfoundland is basically an island. It's a big rock. That's why we call it the Rock. Anyways, Inez very, very nicely and with a big surprise for us sent us both a pair. We had 2 pairs, 1 pair each, of these hand knitted mitts. and they are fantastic. We've been wearing them. They're extremely warm, which is really nice. And in the card, and the card is so cute. That's why I had to have it in the picture because, of course, everybody knows I love gnomes. And so there we go. This card is beautiful, and it's a keeper. And I just had a thought about something I might be able to do with this card in terms of 3D printing. Ooh, stay tuned. Um, Sometimes I get my best ideas while I'm talking to you. Anyways, back to this. In the card, she wrote that these were for our walks. And of course, it's Canada, so it's cold. And so very much appreciate it. They're lovely. I did ask Inez if she actually knitted them. She confessed that she had not. And that's okay. It's the thought that counts, because she was just busy, like everybody, at this past time of the year. And so I think she has a neighbor or a friend who does these, and that's where she got them. And they're very unique, and you can't see it in the picture, but these mitts have a thumb hole and they have an index hole, finger hole. So they're kind of like this. They remind me of lobster claws in a way. And I asked her about that, if that is something that's unique to Newfoundland. And well, to a certain degree it is, but fishermen wear them. And it allows them, to be able to pick things up and grasp things. I think it's a wonderful idea. And they're very comfortable, too. So, yeah, so thank you so much, Inez. This was really thoughtful of you, very unexpected, a nice surprise all the way around. So, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that brings me to subscribers quilt of the week, and this lovely creation comes from Mary Bremer. Hope I said Mary's last name right. This week's quilt from a subscriber is actually a wall hanging, and this comes from Mary Brimmer. And Mary writes, "Good evening from Virginia. I just wanted to thank you for talking about Medicare tape that you bought at Dollarama while we were in Toronto in October visiting my uncle. I bought 4 rolls. It is the best tape I have ever used for my embroidery. I love seeing your projects and listening to you and Walter. I look forward to seeing your table runner. Juju has such great designs. This is my latest. I use double-sided adhesive foam in my table runners and on this wall hanging. We wish you and Walter very Merry Christmas. See you on YouTube. P.S. I added Swarovski crystals to the tree and star. Wall hanging is 16 by 48. So, Mary, this is beautiful. I absolutely love it. As you said, it's designs by Juju, so it's an in the hoop project with your embroidery machine, and you know how I love those kind of projects. And I think you've done a wonderful job of this, and I may have to look this one up and make it for next Christmas, like I need another wall hanging for Christmas. But I can't help myself. I love doing in the hoop projects, and I can see that you do as well. I think the addition of the crystals was a great idea. It gives it that Christmas sparkle, and I wish those crystals showed up a little better in the picture, but alas, they don't, but I can imagine just how beautiful they are. So great job. Thank you for sharing this with us. That's wonderful. And if you would like me to feature one of your creations, and it doesn't have to be a quilt, it can be a garment, it could be crocheting, it could be knitting, it could be paper crafting, whatever, something, anything that's creative that you're proud of and you would like me to show off, I would be more than happy to. Send me one picture only, please, and a little blurb about it, 50 words or less. And I'd be happy to feature it here on an episode of the Idiot Quilter. Now, I have a bit of a stockpile that'll take me into March right now, but don't let that influence you. I need more. I always need more, so don't be shy about it. And I promise you, I'm not going to be critical about it. I'm not going to be judgmental. I'm just going to enjoy it and have everybody else enjoy it as well. Okay, so that takes me to YouTube of the week. And of course, you know that Walter and I did the unboxing of the Missouri Star Quilt Advent Box this year. And if you've seen those, and many of you did, you know we weren't really impressed by it this year, to the point where I'm not getting another one. I'm not ordering another one for next year. However, one of my subscribers sent me this link to someone by the name of Susie Q Makes, and she is in Britain, and she got the box as well, and that cost her quite a bit because shipping over to Britain is not cheap from the United States. And so she did a review as well. So here's what I had to say about that. This week's YouTube video was given to me or suggested to me by Sue Norfleet, one of my regular subscribers here on the channel. And you know, of course, we've just gotten through all the reviews of all of the Advent boxes for the Christmas season. And here we are in the new year. But I know that many people watched Walter and my review of the Missouri Star Quilt Company Advent box. But our opinions, of course, I'm sure many people would say that maybe our opinions were a little biased or were not as accurate or might have been a little negative. Well, here's a video for you to watch that has a review that kind of says similar things to what we said as well. And this particular video comes all the way from the UK, and this is Susie Q Makes. I'd never heard of her before this, and I think I may want to explore her channel a little further. But if you want another point of view about the Missouri Star Quilt Box, because you might be sitting on the fence as to whether you're going to get it next year or not, well, just don't take my word for it. Listen to somebody else that I don't even know and have no influence over whatsoever. So check out my review of the Missouri Star Quilt Company Advent Box for 2025 by Susie Q Makes. Now, this is the part where I usually put in a future project, and ironically, I always make these videos about a week before they go up. Okay, so I'm usually a week into the future by the time you've seen this. So what I was going to do, and I'm going to do it anyways, is I was going to talk about the mini zip case by Adam Sews about his pattern. Now, I've already shown you the actual product from that pattern, but you might be interested in getting your hands on Adam's pattern or some of his other patterns as well. So here's my look at the mini zip case by Adam Sews. This week's future project is one that I'm going to be working on very soon, and I'm going to be doing several in this series of Adam Sews projects because, you know, this is the year of the bag making for me. And I'm going to start off with something very simple that Adam has. It is his own pattern for this, and you can see it up here on the screen. And it is the mini zip case. Very attractive, and this looks like something that would be very, very handy. I may make more than one. We shall see. I know that his patterns are very well written because I've done one before as well. He always has a video to go along with them. So here, and sorry for that bar across the middle of the screen. I can't seem to get rid of that, so I don't know. That pops up with me all the time on Adam's Adam's web page. But anyways, maybe something to do with my settings. But you can see here he's done it with the gray work by Tula, which Adam, if you know Adam, he loves Tula pink fabric, and it is very attractive and looks really good in projects like this. So it's a small, compact little case, as you can see in this picture, zippered, and I think this is really cute and I think very useful as well, and I'm looking forward to making this as my first project in my series, as I said, that I'm going to do of Adam Sews patterns. This is available for purchase, very reasonable, £10 for it. So basically in Canadian dollars, this works out to about $16, $17, which is not unreasonable for a pattern. And in the States, it would be somewhat cheaper than that, probably more around $12 or $13, maybe less in American. It depends on the exchange rate, but well worth the money, I would say, and I'm looking really forward and excited about doing this as my first Adam Sews project for 2026. I have put a link for this in the show notes below if you're interested in acquiring the pattern for yourself. So thank you, Adam. So that takes me to my new segment here on the Idiot Quilter that I'm trying out. This takes the place of what's twisting my seams. Although if you actually had something you wanted for that, I'd be happy to take it as well and show it. But I found that I don't think there was that much interest in what was twisting my seams, so I have created Points of Interest, it's called. And this is where you have an opportunity to send me a headline, a YouTube link, or a link to something on the internet that you think quilters in general or sewers would find of interest. And please do send those in to me. I will do the research. All I need is a link. That's all I need to whatever the article is or the YouTube or whatever that you think others should know about. So this week, this was submitted by Lydia Yates, who's one of my friends and a longtime subscriber, supporter of the channel as well. And this is about a bias binding tutorial. And I know for some people, bias binding is something they stay away from because they're not sure how to make it. Well, this tutorial might be of help. So here's what I'm talking about. This week's point of interest comes from one of my longtime subscribers and friend, Lydia. And Lydia says that this particular video is about bias binding. And she says for some reason her binding method, meaning the person who put this up, just makes sense to me. Key points in her video: how to reduce bulk in the corners and how to join the ends together. So it does say in the description of this Facebook entry, everyone seemed to really enjoy last week's striped bias binding tutorial, where we learned how to make bias binding using a simple trip that makes lining up the stripes super easy. I received a handful of comments asking what comes next after making the binding. How do you sew binding down properly? How do you make those neatly finished 45-degree corners? How do you join the tail end and start together so binding appears continuous? Think means sew together so binding appears continuous. This is, if you have trouble with this kind of thing, this particular video, I think, will help you. And I'm curious about the part 1 where she shows about striped bias binding. So I'll see if I can find that, and maybe I'll check that out for myself. But here you go. The mystery of bias binding removed by this. So thank you, Lydia, so much for providing us with this week's point of interest. So, although I've already alluded to what I am working on, here's a little bit more of a detailed discussion. Here's what I was working on in the past week. So, this past week has been kind of a frustrating week. As you know, I had planned to make 2026 the year of the bag. And as you can see here, I have all my bag supplies. I have bag zippers, I have bag accessories, and I have bag project patterns all laid out and ready to go. And the first project, as you know, the amethyst bags, was a complete disaster. The second project, which is sitting over there in the corner, is the mini zip case, which I've already talked about, by Adam Sews, which worked out okay, but not as well as I was hoping. And that sort of frustrated me a little bit as well. And that has nothing to do with Adam's pattern, it has everything to do with me as the creator. So I'm putting the bag making a little bit on hold right now. Doesn't mean I'm not going to return to it, but right now I'm just very frustrated and I want to have a win. So what do? I set myself up with a challenge to design another quilt, a Quilt of Valor quilt. And I have this panel, and here's my little process of doing this. That's what the panel looks like. I bought the pattern to go with the panel, and then I realized it's by a pattern designer I absolutely hate because her patterns, I've done several of them, and they're horrible. They're horribly written. I'm not putting myself through that again. I said I want to have a win here. So I'm designing my own, and this is sort of, in Electric Quilt, more or less a placement of where different blocks are going to go, and it's not going to be in those colors. It's going to be some of these fabrics over here and some others that I have in my Quilt of Valor stash. And so we'll get on with that. And quilt math is hard. So basically, I'll probably have to adjust things as I create this. So it's going to be sort of like an improv, but not an improv. A planned improv. I don't know if that's such a thing. But anyways, you can see on my design wall, I've still got the kitty up here, and underneath it, my orphan block quilt. Yeah, I got to get those on Lucy and get them quilted. I just haven't been in the mood. Right now, the 3D printers are all very, very quiet, but that is going to change soon. I got to find some more interesting projects for those. I'm getting tired of making little toys and trinkets and things like that. I want to make some more substantial things, but I just don't know where they are. You know, people put out these models for you to download, but a lot of them are just fidget toys or little bits and bobs of dust collecting little objects, and I want something more practical, so I have to do more investigation into that. Meanwhile, my new AMS, so this machine's going to have two AMSs, I'm still waiting for one last piece to come. They've sent it to me in 3 different allotments. I got the AMS first and some of the things that I need to hook it into the system, and then yesterday I finally got what I thought was the rest. Well, no, there is one more part, a very crucial part, that I need to hook this all up. Now, I looked on their website, Bamboo's website, and they are shipping it to me via Canada Post. So who knows when I'm going to get that. I am very, very disappointed with the way they ship things. I love their product, as I've already said, but I'm just really frustrated with the way they ship things. Embroidery machine is idle as well, but I've got a few projects I want to get on it. There's one that I've had the files for quite a while that I thought might make an interesting quilt of valor. I'm not sure yet, but I want to get a go on that. So there's all kinds of projects I want to work on, but and UFOs I need to finish because there's 3 more quilts, or 3 more items actually, 2 quilts and a table runner sitting out in the loosing room waiting to go as well. I got to get the lead out and get on with this because I've been doing a lot of procrastinating, and when I do that I end up watching YouTube shorts and I go down the rabbit hole of pimple popping, fun things with cats, and right now heated rivalry interviews. Yeah, I'm sick. Okay, on with it. And so that brings me now to my review of an online quilt store. And this one I'm going to talk about in a moment. Spoiler alert, I did not give it a high rating. I got thinking about this, and I hope people don't think that when I rate these places, that lately I've had a few that have not had a very high rating. I just want to explain how I do the rating. It's on a scale of 1 to 10, and I look at fabric, I look at the price of the fabric they're selling, I look at their shipping policies, I look at how their website is designed, how user-friendly it is. I look at other things they may have, like a newsletter or classes or video tutorials, whatever. I look at all those factors. I make my judgment from the point of view as a consumer. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a professional or an expert. That's the word I'm looking for. An expert on how businesses run. I'm not. Never had a business. Don't know how they run. I am basing my comments, my judgment, my review solely on if I was going to buy from them, would I? You are free to disagree with my opinion. Also, I don't think that my reviews, even the ones that I give a lower rating to, I don't think that should discourage you from checking them out on your own, because your opinion may vary from mine. And that's fine. Also, many of these places have an actual brick and mortar store as well. And what they have online would not necessarily discourage me if I was in their area from visiting their actual store. And that could be a totally different experience. Because, as I said, I'm judging or making my judgment solely based on what I see in front of me on the screen. So that's it. Okay, I just want to make sure people understand that. So think of me as just somebody that came across one of these sites and was thinking about purchasing something. I was looking at it through the eyes of a potential customer. Okay, so this week I'm looking at a store called Flippin Creations. This week's online quilt store is located in Thunder Bay, Ontario, so way up in the frozen north of Ontario, and it's called Flippin Creations. Pay as you sew center. Not sure what that means, but that's in their title. And this is their front page. Making quilting affordable and accessible. Come quilt with me. Book here. Okay. Instagram feed. Our services. You can rent a machine to do it yourself or have it do it with me. So this is more or less a long arm shop, I would say. More than a regular quilting store. They have a little thing about them, and that essentially is what they're talking about. Um, and then they have quilting, sewing machines, half yard, quilting, view all collections. Let's go there. That's not going anywhere. Our products, new arrivals. Okay, featured products. They look like they're APQS, yes, dealer and brother. And they have social contacts as well. Okay, well, let's go to the top of the screen and let's go up to shop, fabric. Now, by the meter. And okay, no products found. That's not a good start. Okay, let's go over here. Half yard. Funny, they have half yard. Why not half meter? I don't know. Okay, so their pricing. Half yard is 18 inches by width of fabric. For a full yard, order 2, 1.5, 3, 2 yards 4. Okay, and they have 57 to choose from. Really not a big selection. So it's $10 for half a yard. So a full yard. Very confusing. They had it by the meter, then they go by yard. Canadian, again, you know my pet peeve on this. It's Canadian. It should be in metric meters. So anyways, so it's $20 for a yard. And that's not a bad price. It's 3 inches shorter than a meter, but $20 for a yard, that's okay. So let's just take a look very quickly. Looks like everything is laid out on one page, and it looks like they have mixed in here wide back as well. Though I think they do have a separate category for wide back too. But just looking at this particular wide back, that would mean they're about $32 a yard. So that's a little bit on the pricey side, but it is wide back, and wide backs do tend to be that way. Okay, so they have some novelty fabrics as well. They have 3 pages of these. So let's just quickly, since they don't have that many, we can look at. They got some blenders. Blenders are a little less, $9 for half, so $18 a meter. Some more wide back at 21, so that's a little bit more reasonable. Well, no, that's not. That's a half yard. That's $42 for these ones. Wow, that is expensive for a wide back. Okay, they have some Kona. Kona is really $14 a yard. That's not bad at all. But really, their selection of fabrics, and I would suspect, I mean, they have some interesting novelty fabrics if you want novelty, but really, they don't have a lot to choose from in prints and things like that. So let's go back up here to shop fabric and let's take a look at pre-cuts and see what they're showing. And they have one bundle. Maybe this changes. I don't know, $75 for that bundle. Probably about the going price. So not impressed with pre-cuts because they don't really have any. Wide back. Okay, now we saw some wide back mixed in there, and here it is again. So it looks like you can get it as at about 28.80 a yard to 42 a yard, and they only have 8 to choose from. And yeah, really not a wide selection there either. Okay, let's go back up the shop and look at the last category they have, which is wide back pre-cut. And they have nothing in there. Okay, so basically there is not a great selection of fabrics. So this is what would make me think that this is probably what's more important to them. This is what they offer as quilting service. I think that's where their business lies in this, and they show you estimated cost of what to have. Cost really seems fairly reasonable. $200 for a queen for 4 hours. It's an edge-to-edge design. A cost of $50 per hour. And okay, so $50 an hour. I'm assuming they do it. Quilts are returned untrimmed. Yes, they do it. So they don't trim it. They don't bind it. That's not a terrible price. I've just experienced what it costs to have a quilt done by someone else. So I think that's fairly reasonable. You can rent, it looks like their machine too. Now, of course, for those of you that's seeing this, you're not probably living in the Thunder Bay area, so this information I'm sharing with you here really probably is of not much interest to you because you don't live there. So they talk about their different machines that they have and what they will do. All right, and what you can learn on. Do they have anything else? Just the about us. I don't know if they have anything about shipping. They do not. They do not have anything about shipping, so no idea how much it would cost if you just wanted that some of their fabric from them. I have a feeling that they probably don't have a lot of orders online for their fabrics unless it was people living in the area. As I said, they are primarily a quilting shop, you know, a machine quilting shop. So that's what their forte is. Now they do have events, at least they have a section for events, and no coming events. Okay. So, yeah. So what can I say about this? This is not really a online quilt store. It is for, you know, getting your quilts quilted. And for that, I don't think I can really rate them fairly. I don't think I can give them a mark out of 10 because they're not the kind of store I usually, or shop that I usually review here for that. So if you're interested, if you're in that area, this might be something to check out if you need a quilt quilted. And that's Flippin Creations. Okay, so that's it for me this week. Do tune into my vlog. My vlog is kind of controversial this week, at least in the part with what's pissing me off. And I hope people will understand what I said, why I said it. And then, of course, there is So Chatty coming up, which I've already told you about or hinted at the topic anyways, for this week. And then, of course, Stephen and Walter live on Sunday, as usual. And yeah, if you're free and you want to, join us tomorrow, the bunch of us, for Sewing with Stephen. And as I said, starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And the link for it is in the show notes below. And it's a come and go. So you don't have to come at 9 o'clock. You can come at noon. You can come at 11. You can come at 3. Kind of a thing. Up to you. But the link is in the show notes below. It is not a YouTube live. It is a private Zoom link. Okay. So that's it for me. I hope you are, if you're here in Canada, I hope you're keeping warm because it has been a little bit on the frosty side. And if you're in warmer climes, I hope you're not getting sunburned, and I'm jealous. Yeah. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.